Amy Satterthwaite, this is cool. I've been wanting to talk to you for a wee while because you've been doing some cool things in cricket, and now you've been doing some cool things away from cricket. Hi, welcome, thank you, and congratulations on Grace and back in January. Well done, you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's obviously been a little bit different. It's certainly been really enjoyable so far and stumbling our way through.
How was the pregnancy? How was it? Everything go all right?
Not too bad. Yeah. I didn't really get much morning sickness, and I don't want to say that too loudly around some people. It can be pretty tough, I think. And didn't even have many cravings, so that was a bit boring.
Oh, we couldn't even nothing. No, even good stories about it. You need something.
No, I should really make something up, shouldn't I?
Yeah, like no one has that. And then the birth went all perfect. Everything went fine. Yeah.
I don't know about perfect,
Okay,
but
right.
it happened. Like 46 hours is quite a long time. So
Yeah.
they
Okay.
said it was going to be a marathon, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Hey, well done. That's cool. And I know. Look, I know I read a little bit, and I know you don't want to be seen as a trailblazer, but you kind of are anyway. And I'm sorry, you kind of are. You don't want to be seen it. You just want to be seen as doing things normally, but you are a trailblazer, not through just through wants as opposed to necessity. I think you got to admit that to an extent, don't you?
Yeah, well, I guess to a certain extent, I've got to get there in a way first. I've got to get back playing, and
Yeah.
then maybe that tag can be attached. But yeah, at the moment, it's sort of just the journey of it in a way.
Yeah.
But
That does put a bit of pressure on you, though, doesn't it? That if I'm going to put it that way, put some pressure on you to get back and playing.
oh, look, it's one way to look at it. I certainly have, I guess, said that I want to get back playing. So then you're putting yourself into that position and that pressure on yourself, and other people probably are, because you sort of made a point of that. But look, at the end of the day, I've always said that if it happens, it happens, and I'm going to give it a shot, and that's all you can really do. I guess it's like most things in life.
You walked out. Well, no, I'm not going to say walked out. So let me rephrase that. You walked away, being the number one batsman in the world, batter in the world. Apologies, and New Zealand captain. You kind of got it right. Nice little time to take a break.
Yeah, it was ironic. I think I got that number one position after we'd sort of finished playing. And I was pregnant even, and everyone was sort of laughing as to how does that happen. But yeah, it was certainly, it's an interesting one, because I was obviously at a really high point in a way of my career, but we always, like I said, it was going to be what was right for us as a family. I don't know, with the cricket, I guess it's just going from strength to strength. So you sort of looked at it, and there was always going to be something that was coming up. Even now, you list off the World Cups that are coming up, the Com game, all these different things that you could be a part of, which would be so exciting. And there was never going to be a time to go, oh, there's nothing happening for a while now. It's time to sort of, have a break.
Yeah. And this is that thing. Look, I'm in a similar boat to you, but I don't think there's too many like us that sort of give up sport to have kids, or take a pause in sport because I retired so I could come over here and start a family, and you've taken a pause to start a family. There's very few that do it like that. Certainly, well, there's not many guys that finish playing to have a kid, because we can have kids and keep playing. So you're doing something that, well, I hope this turns into the best story in the world ever. One of the best stories.
Oh, look, fingers crossed. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So when you made you thought, right, we're gonna start trying to have a baby. Everything's good. Did you you were just going to keep playing until something grabbed and caught?
Yeah, look, to be honest, we probably didn't expect it to happen as quickly as it did. I think to a certain extent, there's that possibility, but you hear so many stories of how long it can take people to get pregnant, and
Hence
I'm not getting any younger. I'm going to be 34 this year, and that's all part of it, that you sort of think, oh, we'll start trying this process, and then we're pretty fortunate, I guess, how quickly it did happen.
Awesome. That is I guess I'm going to just go straight in here to the questions that are probably I shouldn't be asking, but I feel really weird asking questions about this because it's such a different realm, and although I'm just going to go with it. Sorry, Amy.
Just roll with it.
The whole gee whiz, I'm going to put my career on hold, whether it be business, whether it be sport, whether it be whatever. I'm going to put my business career on hold, and I'm going to commit to bringing a child into this world. That is a pretty serious thing, especially when you're New Zealand captain. Everything's going pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Look, I know we talked about it a lot and deliberated over it for hours, and because it's something that's always been like something I've always wanted is to have a family, and it's really important to both of us. And when that was going to be, we didn't know, and the career side of it is huge. And I like to say, it's not just sports people; it's a lot of other people. But I guess for us, going into it, I had to know that potentially I won't ever play again. You had to probably think like that, otherwise you didn't want to look back on, I guess, with regrets to a certain extent. It's an interesting thing to say about deciding to have a family, but yeah, and like I said before, there's so much going on in the game that you could constantly be excited about what was sort of around the corner in that respect. And so it was a really difficult decision on one hand, but then an easy one as well because it is so important to us. So it's an interesting sort of one with mixed emotions.
No, look, I'm in the same position. Yeah. So when I walked away, I could have kept playing. My body was going good. I was playing the best cricket I was. I was actually moving up in terms of rankings and things like that. Everything was going good. I made a point in August that December, the series that finished against Pakistan at the end of the middle of December was going to be my last series for New Zealand, and that's it because I want a family. And then the pressure's on because you've got to start a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how did you tell many people? Did you tell any of your friend circle, the team circle, that this was happening, or was this sort of a bit on the quiet? Just let's see what happens.
It was something pretty personal and close for us, I guess. And like I said before, you don't know when it's going to happen. So I guess if you sort of put it out there and it takes years, then you're living with that too. So we probably kept it pretty close to ourselves. Just it was a personal sort of thing we were going through, and when it happened, it would happen, and we were able to then share that kind of joy with people. Then I guess.
Did you so you found that towards the end, that was when you were climbing up the ranks, and you said when you finished, you ended up after you finished, you were number one batter in the world. Do you think there was an element of you're thinking about something else at the moment as opposed to stressing about cricket that gave you that freedom to climb up? Have you contemplated that?
Not really, to be honest. It's not something I thought about, but
can you see what I'm trying to say?
I don't know. I think I can. Now that you mention it, if anything, I probably thought it could have gone the other way because I was deliberating so much about But to be honest, throughout the season, it wasn't something we were talking about and focusing on during the end. It was, I guess, that was the season, and then after that, it was something we talked about and obviously decided to then start trying and look into it. But throughout the season, it was more. It was we were playing cricket and.
There is I can't, for some reason that last Test series I played, I was the best I'd ever had been, and I it just so happened, and it
maybe
was
subconsciously I knew, or I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think I took any stress off my shoulders. I don't think I did anything differently, but all of a sudden I was quite a bit better than I had been for a long time, and there's just that when your mind is taken somewhere else because something else is more important than what you're doing. So there's something else that's more important than playing cricket for New Zealand because this is your family and your future. There is I think there has to be some sort of disconnect where then everything just becomes, it's easy. You're doing one of the hardest things as it is anyway.
It puts it in perspective, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I just think it's awesome. You've been with Leah for 10 years, is it?
Yep, long time.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, No, it's been over 10 years now, and 3 years married or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
How does going out with a teammate work? Because that is something that doesn't happen in too many men's changing rooms. And so I get the opportunity to talk to you now. So I'm going to have to ask you the questions that I just have no idea how they work.
Yeah, fair enough.
Please don't be embarrassed, or please tell me to jog on if I get any of the questions wrong. But that just seems yeah, I have absolutely no idea how that would work.
Oh, I guess for us, we've always tried to keep it pretty professional, and
Yeah.
work's work, and relationship, and that is outside of that. And we're probably fortunate in a way that we're in completely different positions in terms
Yeah.
of Leah's obviously a fast bowler, and I'm better, so you're not feeling like you're competing against each other. That I don't know whether that helps or not, but yeah, and to be honest, when we're at trainings and things, you're doing your own thing, and often it's not in the same place. Like yes, you might have nets and stuff where you now and again you face each other, but a lot of the time you almost barely talk to each other during training, and
Yeah.
not on purpose. It's just you're not necessarily around each other because of, like I say, and to just go about your business, and then you get to leave that, and then your relationship kind of comes back into it. So yeah, it's something we've tried to be conscious of, I guess, throughout. And you're probably never going to be perfect at it, don't get me wrong, but yeah,
there's that little Amy Leah click, because you two want to hang out with each other all the time.
People could argue that there's really good friends within any cricket team. So, and they'll have that camaraderie and that anyway. So you could argue that it's not too dissimilar to that. But,
yeah. Look, you're not the first to have a relationship in the change room. You're not the first one to marry another teammate, if you like. But it is just a little bit different to be on that stage and to be flying your flag.
Yeah, it's something that we've probably had to, I guess, think about how you want to go about it in terms of how much do you want to be out there and not. But when you are on that global stage, your life, whoever's gets sort of put out there a bit more than normal, probably.
Yeah.
So it's just part of it in a way for us.
So the whole being gay thing, did you shy away from it in terms of media only up until sort of when you got married, or was it just wasn't something that was talked about?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
We weren't probably as open about it and didn't sort of put it out there as much, but certainly we did an article about a year after we got married, I think, with Dana Johansson, and that was probably a pivotal moment. And I guess obviously it put it out there for everyone on one hand, and it probably just, I don't know, like I say, took the shackles off is completely the wrong way of putting it, but it kind of just it just meant you could just be a little bit more too. And there is definitely a balance. Like, we're quite private people, so that's probably why we've kept it, just not throwing it out there. I know some people are really passionate about it, and I kind of advocate for it. And like I said, we're pretty private, so probably kept it pretty close to home. But at the same time, we're proud of who we are and us as a couple. So then there's that side of it too. So you don't want to completely shy away from it.
Yeah, that another one of those scenarios where you can be someone special to someone else. Well, do you see that as a leader? Do you see that as a being open is something cool?
I think I've started to. I think it was something early on that
it was
again
private.
It was private, and it was I don't know, our life, and you didn't really. I'm never someone to sort of think that I can influence people like that, and so then you sort of play it down, and but even now and again you hear the odd comment that you sort of think, okay, I can kind of see it now, I kind of get it to a certain extent. So when you hear that sort of thing, it is pretty special, I guess, to think that you can have a positive influence.
Stop being so humble and so it is. How I guess that attitude has kept you pretty safe through cricket, in terms of way before all of this, way before having making a decision to start a family. But I'm going to take it that, Amy, in the few times I have met you, I haven't had a chance to speak to you much, but you are pretty calm and just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, people do say that a little bit, but I don't know. It's just
I don't know. I just don't. So, okay, what about, okay, when cricket was going good, what was it like? Were you still quite flatline, and then when it goes bad, you're quite flatline, or do you sort of go up and down with the moods of cricket?
I reckon I've got better at that. Like I think you do ride the waves a lot, and I think since in the last probably 5 or 6 years when I started to perform really well, I probably started to get a little bit more level with it,
Yeah.
within reason. Like I think you still got to ride a little bit of that emotion. It helps drive you. It helps, that side of it. But it probably meant it wasn't so high and so low that it was. I think that's a lot harder to deal with.
Yeah. Did you work?
And I don't. Yeah, I remember I got dropped 5 6 years ago, and the one thing I did after that, I think I was in sort of like around February, March, so then I had winter. And I worked really hard on some skill stuff, but I remember having a couple of sessions around that kind of mental skill side of it, and I thought the skill side of it is there to a certain extent. Don't get me wrong, there's things I need to improve on. Like there's always things you need to improve on, but I felt like the mental side of it was the biggest aspect, and getting to a point where when the selectors turn up and they're on the bank over there and they're there, or whatever it is, that you're not worrying about it so much. You can just be and play and enjoy playing and let yourself go a little bit. And I think that's probably been the biggest turning point of where I got to in my career, is being able to just
and that. So you were doing some work with someone for some mental help, for some strategies.
Yeah, and just being able to talk about it almost helped in itself. Like the more you talk about it and kind of air it out, I don't know, it just made you relax about it a little bit more. And the fact that you'd been dropped at that point almost made it like, well, to a certain extent, it couldn't get any worse in a way. Like you've been dropped, so if it happens again, it happens again. So now you can kind of let yourself be free a little bit more and play. And I think that just helped let myself go. And I had one of my best seasons that year, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and that was a big part of it too.
What did you let go? What were the things that you're working on? Give me the Amy system that gets you out of your head so you can have success.
Oh, I think trying to narrow it down a little bit. Like you can overcomplicate it so much, and I'm like, for those that know me, I'm very technical focused at times, or quite analytical. And that would go too far. So I had to sort of bring it back and trust that, we've looked at that, we've kind of ironed out a few things and we've drilled that, but then once you get out in the park, that's left over there, and then it became about playing, and probably a bit of self-belief and kind of I don't know quite how to word it, but I was always worrying, like I worry about what other people think at times, so I was always worrying about even what my teammates were thinking about how I was playing, or that side of it. So once I was able to kind of let that go and actually go, no, you can play this game. You don't have to worry about what they're thinking so much. That was again, it just sort of freed me up a little bit.
Was that see, that's really interesting. That's something I could never get over that. That whole part of it, what my teammates were thinking and expecting, and how I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to act and how I was supposed to bowl. I didn't have a clue. I got all of that. I got pretty much all of that wrong. I did okay on the park sometimes, but I got most of that stuff wrong. No, I'm being serious, because it just is. And you eat yourself.
Challenge. It's a massive challenge.
Well, you just eat yourself up with energy, like just stressing and faking and putting a mask on to try and be who you think you should be in a changing room, when you could just try and be yourself, which would be nice. The process of doing that means that you miss out on a lot of sleep too. Another part of it.
It's one way to look at it. I think another part was the sort of expansion of the women's game, and I was really fortunate. I got an opportunity to play in Tasmania, and I think it was one of the best things I could have done for my career and for me as a person. I turned up, no one knew who I was. I could just be myself. There was no preconceived ideas, that side of it.
Yeah.
The group was amazing, really welcoming, so friendly, and I just had so much fun. And I don't know, just it was a new lease on life almost. It was something really, really refreshing. And I almost think that if I didn't have that
Yeah.
new opportunity and those that continued after that playing in the Big Bash, that I don't know if I'd still be playing, to be honest. Like,
So
maybe I would, but
that re-sparked some real love, that rekindled the joy of playing.
yeah, it did massively. I look back on it really fondly, and the opportunities that I've had to play around the world and the Big Bash and the Kia Super League, and the people that I've met and got to play alongside, and it's been huge. I think honestly, for, like I say, for me as a player and as a person, and it's I've just been very thankful to have those opportunities, but just loved it. So,
Yeah, and
mm.
those experiences weren't really open to women cricketers that long ago. Going and playing for other teams into, like in the men's game, most people come and play in the UK at some stage, whether that be a club team or whether that be a county team, whatever. Most people go overseas and play in other teams, most men, I should say. And it's, I like that. No, I like that, how that now, actually, that does open up that women's game. I hadn't thought of that. That's really interesting. Because
I look at the likes of even like Maddie Green and Mealy Kerr that went and played Big Bash for the first time this season, and again, I could just see the way that they've grown as players, and I'm sure as people as well. Like, it's just, I think it's one of the best things that the women's game has been able to now do. Like you say, the men's game's been able to do it for years, and to think that now that's a possibility, I think it's huge for so many different reasons.
Yeah, I never thought that. Yeah, when I've turned up and played cricket over here, and it's like, I don't know any of these guys. I can be whoever I am. That has gone through my head. I can be whoever I want to be, kind of thing. No, but I do. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, and that is brand new. That's sort of 4-5 years old, isn't it? In terms of when this has started happening in the women's game.
Yeah, I mean, Big Bash has just had its 5th season, I think, and so it is new, and to think that players now coming through, starting their careers and what have those opportunities sitting there waiting for them, I just think that's awesome.
The financial part is getting a lot better. It's still not perfect, but it's getting a lot better. I'm glad you're nodding your head at the moment, because it is a lot better. But yeah, there's still bits to go. Is that that must be part of the lure of getting back into it, after having Grace and getting back into the team? There must be an element that, gee whiz, it does pay okay, and I want to get back and do it just because I want to go back and do it. But the pay, that helps, that makes that decision a little bit easier.
I think it helps. I think it's that'd be the best word to probably use for it. I don't think it's necessarily a lure as such. Like, whether that's because we've grown up at a time where you started out and it wasn't how, you couldn't really play for money. Like, I worked full time for 7-8 years, balancing playing cricket and trying to train and all that, and then slowly I went something more part time, and then I've been able to sort of end up being fully professional. But it certainly happened over time, and I think having gone through that transition, it's never been about the money. Certainly it helps, don't get me wrong, but it's just the enjoyment, and then the challenge of the game, and wanting to, I don't know, achieve more. And I feel like you never feel like you're a finished product when you're playing cricket. It's just something that is so hard to master, and I don't think you've ever mastered it, that you feel like you've always got more to work on, and the game is just evolving so fast that you've got to keep up, let alone then try and almost be ahead of that as well. So that challenge is quite exciting.
How did you try and stay at the front? How did you try and, well, not being able to master it? What were you trying to do apart? You said you reasonably quite technically focused, and then you worked on the mental side of it. What are the other bits is there any other bits that you sort of tried and be that little bit better than your opponent, better than your teammates? Because that's what you've got to try and do sometimes.
it was always trying to be like who I was as a player, like not trying to be a Sophie Devine, a Susie Bates, because the way I play wasn't going to be like that. But how could I be the best at what I do? And definitely there was another that focus on focusing on my strengths. Like because I am so analytical, I was always looking at what can I get better, looking at my weaknesses. And once it was like, hang on a second, what are your strengths and how do you make them stronger? That was another point that really started to help my game. And you're always looking at, where do you score your runs and how can I expand where I score my runs and that side of it as well.
Did you try and open up more of the park, or did you go, actually, no, I'm really good at hitting here, here, and here, and that's it, and work harder on that? Which way did you go there?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely the streak side of it was try and really just build on that. I brought a few things into my game. I started to reverse sweep in the last couple of years, but certainly didn't bring in the lap just yet. But so there was an element of opening up. And some of that comes from the experiences you've had. Like I'll never forget, I don't even know why it sticks in my memory, but there was a World Cup in India we played the West Indies and lost the semi-final, and that game's always gonna haunt me, I think. But I'll never forget facing a spinner and looking back on it afterwards and thinking like there was a huge gap behind point third man, and I didn't really have it, like a slowish wicket, so just sort of dabbing it down there with, but I didn't really have a way of accessing it. And so I guess going through that experience and that has made you then go, well, hang on a minute, I need a way to be able to access that so that I've got options. And just those moments sort of help you naturally expand your game.
So you're trying to shift a fielder so you can open up one of your original gaps, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, and access, like if you haven't got, I guess, enough areas that you can access around the ground, then suddenly they can just shut down your strengths, and the ground feels a lot smaller than it actually is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do you feel that there's a little bit of lack of pace coming out of the women's game in terms of, I know certainly Leah doesn't take the pace out of the game, but there's always been a lot of spinners, but even say this World Cup, there's been even a lot more spinners this World Cup just gone. You think there's a gap missing for the quicks?
A little bit. It's something that everyone's always talked about. Like the game could do with bowlers that could bowl 130k would be the next thing that's going to keep lifting the women's game. But I think it's twofold. Like sometimes it's the wickets that we play on, and I've always said that the women's game, when we get put on good wickets, we get that's always helped the women's game kind of go up another level. So there's that side of it, and then it's sort of the ability to play spin. I think that's probably something that's still evolving and still improving. When the ball's really turning, the more that people improve the way that they can play that, then the spinners will start to get taken out of the game a little bit. And look, when you're facing little Poonam Yadav who's knee high to a grasshopper, and he's really got to get it up and down, there's a real, there's a difference in trajectory that you're not having to face against other players, and it makes a different challenge in itself. And
there is
she can then afford to bowl quite slow.
There's a wider range of delivery points in the women's game than sort of maybe in the men's game, in terms of the height difference between the shortest and some of the tallest. There is quite a big variation in how high it has to go to get down the other end. It's not always, there's a big difference, isn't there, actually? That's one thing that's interesting. So who's the hardest to face, given that? Who's the hardest slow bowler? Poonam Yadav, her name comes up all the time.
Oh, she'd have to be up there.
Yeah.
It's just unique. Like you said, the height that it comes from or doesn't come from.
Yeah.
And so then the trajectory that the ball takes, and she's got a very good wrong in as well, and she can turn it both ways. So
just sprint it. Just sprint it.
Why don't we just start 2 meters down the wicket?
Yeah. Just sprint it and hit. Yeah. Simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, so easy when you're sitting on the sideline.
Yeah. Has anyone done that? Just sprinted at her and ran past one, stamped, goodbye?
Oh, I think Susie tries to sprint at everyone just about, so it's the latest thing to do.
Bowling's never ever been part of your game. You never really wanted to do much of that?
I've done a little bit. I've chopped and changed. I was a medium pace bowler,
Okay.
and then I was an off spin bowler.
Then you got
I'm not
lazy.
sure if you can call it off spin,
Yeah.
but
Off
I
spin is
bowl off the wrong
lazy.
foot, so
Oh.
it was always a bit unique.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sort of the Chris Harris. What?
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah.
but everyone thought it should be in swing because of that, but it
All right.
went the other way. So keep me
No, no.
guessing.
More skills. More skills. How is it at the moment? I mean, obviously lockdown and new baby, and your bubble becomes all that bit more important. How are you doing at the moment in terms of staying alive, staying real?
Yeah, there's because I think we've got Grace. It's certainly helped in this
Yeah.
sort of lockdown situation to give us plenty to focus on and keep us pretty busy, and I'll give you a little bit of perspective too, I guess, as well. But it's always like, I think it's been testing for everybody.
Yeah.
You've got to really sit back and make sure that you're doing a few things to help keep yourself in a good space, and getting some fresh air and going for a walk, and that has been really, really important as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting time.
Are you in on the Zoom yoga classes yet? Are you back doing them with the?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I've been having a go at those. It's been awesome. Just like technology these days just means that connection is being able to sort of be kept a lot easier than it would have been in the past. And I think that's certainly helping a lot of people. And it's been a lot of fun actually, just to see the girls. And we had a quiz night last night, and so it's just that banter and that story, which is awesome.
Yeah. Does this again in a strange way, this break at the moment kind of comes at a good time for you, because the rest of them can't really get in front of you in terms of going and learning new skills and getting better so much, and you can at the moment work on the body, catch up, and get ready back playing, and about the same time as them. This is quite handy for your little comeback, isn't it?
Yeah, you could put it like that. It's it's certainly it's certainly not hindering, that's for sure. It's allowing me to have a little bit of time, I guess, to like you say, try and get the body back to somewhat where it was. And that's been it's a different journey in itself. I've never really been injured that much throughout my career, so
you're a batter.
having to kind of
you're a batter, you don't get injured.
Oh, hey, come on. But,
go on, Amy.
But yeah, so it's going to be a completely different journey for me, having to sort of start from scratch a little bit. And
what does scratch look like, given that you just gave birth to a baby and your goal is to get back playing international cricket? Where is zero? What is the first thing walking, and then obviously first, but how do you build this? Pardon?
Walking the dog was definitely the first one, but it's been I was doing 30-second little jogs, and that's where you started, and you just sort of increase the number of those, and slowly then try and build the time that you're jogging. I definitely wouldn't call it running, but and just try and get on the bike a little bit more, and which isn't necessarily my favorite place to be, but you just got to change it up a little bit to adjust to where your body's at, and then try and just increase it bit by bit. And
so when you say you never really had an injury, do you feel that the body hurts at the moment when you're getting back into this? You're doing running and you're doing a few ab stuff and a few things like that. Does the body start to hurt like an injury now, or are you just kind of getting used to it?
Maybe because I haven't got back in the gym, it's not quite there yet. I'm sure once I do that first lift, I won't be able to walk for a week. But a little bit, and I think it's going to be the lungs, to be honest.
Sure.
That it takes a bit of adjusting of really feeling unfit and being like, and thinking about how far you've got to go to kind of get back where you were, and that sort of mental challenge to kind of go, this is bloody tough and it is hurting, like you say, but knowing that, I guess, trusting that you can get back to where you've been.
Yeah. You believe it though?
Some days.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I think I do. The more I get back into it, and to be honest, it's made me feel quite good getting back into, I mean, exercise is always a really good thing to be doing for the feel good side of it.
Have you looked up any sort of a template on how you get back into sport? after you've given birth? There must be articles, and there must be a loads of things in the fitness mags about how to get back into being into competitive sport.
Probably haven't looked it up as such, but I've been really fortunate to have access to a couple of people. I saw Leslie Nichol, who's herself obviously had children and come back play sport. But so there's that side of it of accessing the I say experts and people that can guide you into what you're doing, which has been really helpful. And then our local physio and sort of using them just to support you through it and keep making that transition. And so that side of it's probably been the biggest one. I have thought about reaching out to, there's some athletes around New Zealand like Gemma McCaw and that have obviously done it recently, and you sort of think, why not tap into to some of their sort of knowledge, and but maybe one day I'll pluck up the courage too. But
I'm sure there's someone in the New Zealand cricket setup that'll do that. Reach out for you. They're pretty good, aren't they? Players Association organise that. That's I'll send Heath a message when we're off. You just sit and relax. Pardon?
We'll sort it.
Yeah. I just wanted, because that you are doing something that people don't do very regularly. Everyone tries to get back their body, but you're going to get back and play international sport. I think that's awesome. I just love it. Have you and Leah progressed as she's a bowler, you're a batter? God, I can't handle this.
That's okay, I'm not offended.
Okay, no. Anyway, do you still go down the net? Well, not at the moment necessarily, but did you just go down the nets by yourselves every now and again and have a family training?
Not really, but might have to now. And
no, I was being serious. I thought there may be sort of extra trainings for you guys. I
think because we obviously living together, and you do end up training together a lot. Don't get me wrong. And there's normally been about 4 or 5 of us probably in Christchurch that have trained together, but we have often been at the same session, or it might have just been the 2 of us, and I've faced her a few too many times in the nets, and she certainly doesn't hold back from bowling a few bounces, and it's very competitive, as you'd hope. But it's I think that's probably fortunate in a way that we can go and just train together and help each other out from that side of it as well.
Yeah. I have my opinion on how teams improve is if the bowlers improve, the batsmen improve. If the batsmen improve, it doesn't necessarily make the bowling improve. So you getting that's one of my theories. I reasonably looking at world cricket, that's normally how it sort of works. But having a partner that's a bowler, has that given you more access to the way they think as a bowler, and then to help you as a batter? Not something you've really focused on, but probably just through, you've picked up a few bits.
A little bit, maybe. Yeah, a little bit. We're probably quite different in how we go about our cricket, which is probably a really good thing as well. Like I say, I'm quite analytical in that, and Leah's probably the polar opposite. Much more about sort of gut feel and but we've probably, I think, helped each other in that sense and helped balance that a little bit, and that's been really nice as well. So
you sit back and you watch let's say you're sitting back, you're watching a game of cricket, and someone makes a mistake, you go, oh, I wouldn't have done that, I would have done this, and then Leah says, oh, I wouldn't have done that, I would have done this. Do you have those conversations where you can actually kind of like changing room conversations, but in your own lounge? Yeah,
we will. We've also been quite conscious of not overloading with cricket.
Sure.
We've obviously got to go to work, and not at the moment, but and train and have those discussions and that at training. And so if we always bring that home, it would get quite tiring, I think, in the end, and be a bit of a strain. Certainly we'll easily have those sort of conversations at times. And
then do you look at each other and go, work, stop it? Do you have those moments as well?
Every now and again when it gets a bit much. Leah's probably more having to tell me to stop talking about cricket than the other way around. But it's every now and again. But like I said, you try to be aware of it. But when it is the same thing that you do, it is kind of easy to just talk cricket too. So
I think if I got to live with an international batter, I think that would be you have a chance to really dig into some of their thoughts. But that's just me. So what does you had some really good employers going back, sort of when you started. You said you worked for 6 or 7 years, and trying to play, and you just had good employers that allowed you that freedom.
Oh, I had phenomenal employers, really. I worked at a vet clinic and
Oh yeah.
started out as a sort of technician,
Mm-hmm.
and then ended up in the office, and look, I loved it. Had some awesome opportunities working there as well. But yeah, like I say, I had some pretty phenomenal sort of employers that allowed me to kind of do both. And I think every time I walked into the office and was like, I've got a tour coming up, and had to
Yeah.
have that conversation. It wasn't always necessarily an easy one at times, but they were always so supportive about what I was doing. And yeah, it was amazing to think they sort of allowed me to do both.
How quickly is it moving in that regard? How quickly is women's cricket shifting away from having to do, because there'll still be some that have to do some work at the moment. Not everyone gets paid quite enough to sort of have it as your only income.
Yeah, there is a little bit of it. I think this last MOU last year is certainly helping to make that transition, and quite a big step forward from that one. But yeah, it's been huge. Like, I know a lot of us that have around my age and then have played for a while, and you always sort of sit there and go, when I was first playing, even in the first sort of half of my career, if someone told me this is what it was going to look like, you'd just laugh at them. And even, it's a pretty cliche thing to say, but it's so true. It's just
You feel
ridiculous how it's exploded.
It's moved that fast. It's moved that quickly.
Yeah, I do. I think the likes of Australia and England have sort of forced it to kind of catapult the way it has. The way that they've invested in the game, created these competitions, and really believed that it could work and be a thing, has, like I say, forced other countries to kind of follow suit, and it's just gone through the roof in a short space of time. And I'm sure it'll continue to grow, and whether that's through other teams getting better, and then you've got 10 teams that are sort of really competitive rather than 5, or I think there's that side of it as well for the women's game to continue to develop.
Yeah, the final, the MCG final, the 90 odd thousand, the Katy Perry, you would have loved that. That would have, while you're happy where you are and you wouldn't change a thing, you would have loved being a part of that, being over there, involved in that World Cup.
Oh, I think anyone that has played cricket or is involved with the game, whether you were there that day or not, just has to look at it and think it was phenomenal. It was amazing, and it was a sort of real milestone moment for the women's game. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that it did happen in a way.
Did you would you have had some dance moves like the Australian girls at the end? Because they rocked that shot. They rocked that show.
Oh, if I had a little bit of liquid courage, I might have had. I think if you're in that position and you've won like that, I think you'd just be on cloud 9, and there'd be a few dance moves coming out.
You think you'd need some liquid courage? I think
probably not in that situation, to be honest. There'd be enough of endorphins going.
So how do you target your sort of comeback dates and things like that? You must have there's a couple of tours here, there's a tour there. Okay, given that the lockdown and all this sort of goes away in due course, what's your target? Have you got a target, or are you just kind of like just running free and just letting whatever happen?
We've got a tour scheduled in September against Australia, and that has sort of been the target, I guess, to aim for. So look, there's a lot of things to obviously happen between now and then in terms of the situation globally. And
so September, that's 4 months away, is it? Is that right? Something rather?
5 or 6, yeah.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
But whether or not we get there, we'll wait and see. And
but that's your
it just gives you something to it gives you something to sort of strive for, eh? Yeah.
So when does 5 months out, let's say, and everything's going normally, when does it all pick up again? When do you pick up a bat and go and hit some balls, go and smash Leah around?
probably sooner than I think. I dusted the cricket bag off the other day. We've actually moved house, and I saw it and thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to dust the cricket bed off and start to have a look at it. But probably maybe June. Again, it's gonna depend on the situation and everything, but that'd probably be the ideal.
Did you see your cricket bag, and go? Did you get that feeling? Did you get that sort of warmth, or did it remind you of different times, or what did that do to you now? Because it's all so different. It all changes.
Yeah, it is. But no, it did actually, and I think that's the cool thing is when you go through something like this, you're never quite sure how you're going to feel. You go into it thinking that if you can, you want to come back, but once you're sort of in it and it's happening, is that feeling still the same? And so far there is still that kind of pull and drive at the moment, and I think I'll keep going whilst that's there, and when the sort of enjoyment and the drive and that goes, then you sort of know that your time's sort of up to hang up the boots, but for now it's still there.
What's the feeling? Is it giddy? Is it just a little bit of excitement? Is it nervousness? What is that feeling that when you see your bag you go, ooh?
There's definitely the excitement.
Yeah.
There's the excitement side of it of just going and playing and doing something that you love and going hitting lots of balls and that side of it. And then there's the other side that is kind of like, oh my gosh, and a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
Partly just around how is this going to work? Like, I haven't done this before. Don't really know people that have. Like,
Yep.
And so you feel like you're sort of walking into the unknown a little bit, and that side of it is a little bit probably daunting when you haven't had to sort of go through that before.
But you writing a diary? Are you keeping track of all of this? Because this is good stuff. No, I'm being serious, because people don't do this. Yeah, a lot of people don't get back to their career. They don't get back into their career after family. So this becomes something that should be sort of diarised and kept track of. And this is how you do it if you want to get back in international sport. Are you doing that? Tell me you are, please.
Up here, sure. Does that count?
No. No, you've got to be documenting this because you're doing something that not many people get to do. I would have loved to have given birth to a baby, whatever, but that's the most amazing thing you can do. There is no bigger magic than that. But I couldn't. But I would have loved to. But I would have kept you. People can't do that and come back and play sport. People can't because no one does it. You're trying to do it. Keep a diary.
Well, I've got to get there first, don't I? So
there's
still a long way to go. But
there's still a journey to it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And not maybe like either way, whether I get there or not, and one day I'll be able to sort of, I guess, sit back and reflect on it and that journey and that side of it. But they're probably just at the moment too busy changing nappies to think about it.
There's a few nappies, isn't there? What have we got? 3 months.
Yeah,
so
a couple.
Not quite setting up yet, is it? Is she, Grace?
Not quite, but
she's full of smiles now, though.
She is, yeah.
How good are
Go and get her out of bed, and she greets you with a smile, and I'm like, can this just last forever? It's the best thing.
Yeah, no, that is. That's awesome. So I'm on here, top floor of our place, and bedroom and ensuite locked in isolation. Kids are at the other end of the hall when they come up and see me, so they're sort of 5-6 meters away. And I get the smiles, but I miss the cuddles, Amy. I miss those cuddles. Yeah. You have them all the time now. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I'm trying to make the most of it because I know they won't last forever.
Yeah. Has that changed you? Have you changed as a person because you're now a mother, a mum?
Oh, I'm sure I have. But
did you stress about being a mum before you were being a mum? Because I stressed about being a dad heaps.
A little bit. I was just really excited. It was something I've always wanted to do and to be, I should say. But probably more like I know, what you're like as a person, and so then you think about kind of the mother that you want to be and knowing what type of person you are, and then hoping that you can kind of get close to that and
Yeah.
not be a big like I know it'd be easy for me to be a big stress cadet around it, and try to just relax and enjoy being a parent as much as I could was probably been the biggest sort of challenge. And so far I've surprised myself in some aspects. Like I thought I'd be in a room every 5 seconds wanting to check on her, and I've been able to just put her to bed and walk out. It's been okay, but it's an awesome journey so far, and it's been it's challenging. Don't get me wrong. The first, like everyone talks about those first 6 weeks being a blur and that side of it, but yeah, it's been awesome.
Oh, awesome! I think it's so cool. You still in Canterbury, aren't you? You still live in Christchurch and around there? You're born.
Yeah, we've sort of sneaked a little bit closer to Lincoln where we train all the time. So we've got to Prebbleton and I thought that was the limit.
That's about the limit. Come on, you don't want to go too much further out.
No.
So growing up in Canterbury and playing cricket down there, always had a strong women's team, Canterbury.
Yeah. I grew up in the country, so played Canterbury country underage stuff, and then came into town to boarding school, and that was sort of when I started to play in all girls teams and played at the local St Albans Cricket Club, and then Canterbury stuff. We had a phenomenal team. I struggle to think, to be honest, how I even was a part of it, but the names of the people that were in that side at that time, some very talented cricketers and a lot that played for New Zealand, and we had a really successful sort of time in those first few years when I was playing for Canterbury. So yeah, it's pretty fortunate to have been a part of it.
Did you captain Canterbury? Sorry, this is me not knowing. Sorry.
No, I did. Yeah.
How long did you captain there?
8 or 9 years, I think.
Yeah.
So quite a while, but yeah, it was a huge honour to be able to do that, and loved the challenge, and just so many sort of different aspects of it, I guess. There's the tactical side, which I really enjoy, but the kind of growth as a person. I mean, it sounds a little bit corny, I guess, but
it's corny.
Like, just trying to get to know your players and how can you get the best out of them, and like that side of it as well as I guess I enjoy a challenge, so that to me was a challenge.
And taking over the New Zealand captaincy, was that a surprise?
Yeah, it was. Surprised that Sue's stood down. I mean, she's been a phenomenal player first and foremost for us for a number of years, and also a phenomenal captain, and I think grew a lot as a player and a captain in that time, and it was awesome to kind of watch that evolve. So it was really sort of sad, I guess, to see her step down in that sense, and but then a huge honour on the flip side of that to be able to be given that opportunity to lead your country. It's pretty special.
How long did you do it for? It wasn't very long, was it?
No, it turned out to be I lose track of time now. About sort of 6 to 12 months. In the end, sort of 12 months by the time start to when Sophie took over. So yeah.
What sort of things did you try and, I'm not going to say try and change, but what were the things that you were trying to do differently in that group as a captain? What you took from Canterbury and what you brought to that New Zealand girls group, women's team?
First and foremost, was trying to be myself in that sense. Like, in some aspects, Susan and I were probably similar, and then in other aspects, we're different, and that's going to be the case with whoever's leading. There's always going to be differences, and I just wanted to keep pushing us as a group and keep challenging us to get better, and individually and as a team, and how could we keep kind of pushing those top teams. And I truly believe we have a core of players and a good enough group of players to be able to do that. And I think just building on what Suze had done, and trying to, I think probably naturally the tactical side of it is always something that I really enjoy, and that kind of analytical.
Is that in the preparation with field settings and who to bowl, those sort of matchups?
Yep. yeah, that side of it, the game plan side of it, yeah, it's something that I really enjoy, and then having those conversations, and um, yeah, it's probably been one thing that just sort of tried to build on.
How close did you try and stay to a formula when the game was happening? Was it a couple of quicks up front and then to get the spinners on? Was there a formula that you sort of tried to stick to, or did you try and be as fluid as possible given the scenarios?
Tried to have an element of
Because
that fluid, like
you don't play any test matches. That's the bad bit. So everything can be quite structured because it's either 20 or 50 overs. So you can be quite structured. I probably should have prefaced that. Sorry.
yeah, I'd love to play a test match at some
Yeah.
point, but that's a whole nother
No,
topic.
it
But
is. It is.
I think for me, when I've been at my best is really trusting my gut and going with my gut instinct and trying to read the game situation and assess what's sort of required now. Whether that be, do we need a wicket, container, whatever that looks like, and then you sort of know the arsenal that you've got in your bowlers and how you can kind of apply that. And I think personally, I think if you get too structured, it can become a bit predictable, and it's like, don't get me wrong, there's an element of it, because you're
Well, there has
often
to be
going to
because there's
see
someone.
similar people. Yeah, I mean the bowling, whatever it looks like. But then you can get your matchups a little bit with your players, and like I say, just more trying to, once the game really gets going and you see the situation, really read that, and how can I then apply what we've got to that to, in that moment, you see as the best fit. And look, cricket is a game that you could skin it 10 different ways and be successful in different ways, and that's the, I guess, exciting part about it as well. But yeah, I think I know early on in those first few games, we went to Australia and we got absolutely smashed, and it was kind of like, oh, cool. But
I'm captain. This is great. Yeah.
but I think on reflection, I was finding my feet from definitely, and I'd captained Canterbury, like you say, I'd captained the Renegades as well, and once I'd got to the point of, again, just trusting my gut and really going with the flow of that, I sort of started to find a bit of a rhythm and really enjoy it. So
So
yeah.
there was a enlightening kind of, not an enlightening kind of moment, but there was a moment when you went, oh right, I need to be doing something different here because it's not working.
I just knew I wasn't being me,
Okay.
because I had that experience of being a captain and sort of felt that kind of flow with it. It's a little bit, I sort of compare it a little bit like batting, when you feel that you're in that sort of flow with it and a bit of rhythm with it. And look, you're never going to get it perfect, you're never going to get it right. Don't get me wrong, but when you have that feeling of that kind of flow with it, then I knew that I was at least in the best place I could be to be doing it. And early on, I felt like I wasn't quite there.
So you're just out of tune. In essence, you just weren't in tune with the captaining Canterbury versus captaining New Zealand. It shouldn't be so different, but it is so different given the game just moves that whole lot faster at the international level, and there's a lot more noise. And did you find that just getting into tune was that you couldn't get straight away? Yeah,
and finding the balance of not trying to like reinvent the wheel a little bit. That actually, if we've got recipes that have been working, then you don't have to make drastic changes or that sort of stuff, even though we might not have had the results at times that we wanted, but actually within that there was still some really good stuff. And so there was a lot to sort of work through at the same time, and we had to go to a World Cup. I think we had the Aussie tour, and then we went straight to a World Cup. And there's always things I think you'll look back on and think, oh, I wish I did that differently, or that side of it. But
as long as you look back and you recognise it, if otherwise you'll never change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you have to be able to do that, and you have to be able to acknowledge that you got some stuff wrong. And like I said before, you can look at cricket and you can do it 10 different ways. So whether you say it is right or wrong is probably just different, I guess. But
who do you debrief with then? Because there is becoming more honest criticism of women's cricket in terms of how it's played and some skill
levels. How do you get your feedback on your performance and you as a captain of the team? Who are you talking to get that confidence and that constructive criticism from?
The coach definitely is always one that you're wanting to have those conversations with and be able to be really honest on that side. My dad's probably been someone that's been a big part of my life that in terms of cricket, and it's just bouncing ideas. And it's certainly not all the time, but it's just every now and again you have those conversations, and it's just someone that you can just chew the fat over with, really, and different perspective.
Sorry, keep going, Amy. Sorry.
There's just players as well. I think someone like Stu's I've played a lot of cricket with, and so for that, and you're always just having conversations at times to around how we did things or might do things differently and that side of it. So
when I was talking to Charlotte Edwards, sort of about a week ago now, she was saying that there isn't quite the changing room discussion, the couple of beers at the bar discussion after the game that there sort of is in the men's game. It's a little bit of a game finishes and cricket is talked about briefly in the changing room, and then it sort of goes back to just being regular life. Is that the same in the New Zealand changing room, or is that she kind of just from her experiences, do you think?
No, I think it's probably a little bit across the board. I think it's something that's getting better, and probably getting better because we're naturally playing more cricket. We've got some girls that might not have ever watched a test match, or like that side of it that you sort of take for granted a little bit, maybe because you've always grown up watching just about every game of cricket that was on TV or talking about it all the time. So no, there definitely is. I think it's evolving and growing.
Tell me quick, you said it's been happening quick, this whole women's cricket explosion. So do you feel that you women have to keep up with the game's explosion as well? Is there any pressure on you guys to keep getting better in the rate that the game is getting bigger?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always striving to be better, and like you're watching the likes of the Aussies, and they've got a pretty phenomenal side and a lot of depth, I think. And
you then sort of disappointed that the final was a one-sided. The women's final was so one-sided then, because it kind of puts women's cricket back in there's one good team and there's a few other teams lagging behind.
In one sense, yes. Just because exactly what you've already said, but I think you saw throughout the tournament there were results where in the past they'd be called upsets, and now I think they're starting to become less and less upsets. And India beat Australia in the very first game of that World Cup, and yet that final managed to grab so many people to watch it, and they, I don't know, quite a lot of them maybe don't even know that actually India beat them at the start. And so like you say, then they have this perception that it is just a one-sided affair, and they're off on their own, and everyone else is way over there. And look, there's perceptions about the game, I guess, that we're constantly trying to change in a way through the way that we play and through some of the results and that sort of thing. And it's not going to go away overnight.
I probably could have worded that a little bit better, in the sense that game isn't a reflection of the women's game, but it then becomes the perception of the women's game.
That's what everyone sees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's, so do you feel, given that game, a bit annoyed, a bit frustrated that it couldn't have been a closer game, so it was a better matchup? Do you see what I'm, in terms of being on the biggest stage, men's World Cup final, there's a tie, and there's another tie in terms of the match, the super over and the super over. It couldn't have been a more ridiculous game of cricket. And then must be some frustrating there wasn't even a game of cricket that was sort of semi-competitive. That must be a frustration.
Yeah, no, it would be. I think if I think about the Big Bash season, I lose track of time, a couple of years ago, and it was just, they couldn't have scripted it any better. But there was two sort of last ball finishes for the semi-finals and super over, and yeah, it was about as close as you could get for both games, and you sort of thought, awesome, this is exactly what you want people to see, and how you want them to see women's cricket, and something like that in that final would have been amazing. So yeah, there is that side of it.
Well, this is 2021, and that's you want the captaincy back? So hop off. I'm coming back, and I'm being captain. So
I think anyone that gets offered the opportunity would always want to say yes, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course. No, cool. That's awesome. I couldn't wish you any more good fortune and a little bit of luck on the way, Amy. I think you're doing amazing things. So well done. And on that note, it's almost your bedtime, isn't it? It must be time for another nappy. Amy, thank you for that. That was awesome. That was cool for me. A real different perspective.
No, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
I hope I got the questions right, because I'm being serious. Really tough sort of thing to talk about, but it's stuff I've always wanted to kind of know. If that makes sense.
Oh, it's been nice actually, because it's just a bit of probably some different questions than I guess the sort of normal cliche ones. So no.
Yeah, I want to learn about you, not about the player. I wanted Amy the decision maker, not the Amy the out in the middle playing cricket. Hey, thank you so much for your time. This will be up when you wake up in the morning, so you'll be able to watch it back then. Yeah.
Sure.
Amy, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yes.